Right. Welcome, everyone, to today's lecture by Dr. Mingshuang Li. This lecture is organized by the Audio Humanities and especially the China Institute at CSA. We provide opportunities, especially for the young scholars who joined CSA recently, to give us their most recent research and to provide a platform for more faculties and staff and students to understand and to be familiar with the research, and also to build up future collaborations between our faculty members. And Dr. Mingshuang Li joined CSA in 2021 and had been a really active member of CSA and also the CSA China Institute. So it's a great honor to invite Dr. Mingshuang Li to give us a talk. His talk title is Speech Perceptions and Enhancement in Noises. Actually, I don't really understand much of it, and that's why I'm interested in learning about his research and see maybe there are some connection to what we are doing in our own field, at least to get more understanding and more familiar with the research in his field. So without further ado, I will let Mingshuang to start his talk. If you have questions, you can either ask the question in the chat, and if the simple question Mingshuang can clarify, or you can wait until the session of Q&A, and then you can have a more detailed answering from Dr. Li. All right. Mingshuang,
all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sun. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my talk. Thank you for your coming. All right, let me share my screen. Oops. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your coming. So today we'll talk about the speech perception and enhancement in noise. So before this talk, let me introduce myself briefly. So my name is Mingshuang, and I'm just a PhD, and also I'm assistant professor and a certified licensed audiologist at the California State University, Northridge. In the last semester, I got my certification and the licensure in California. So now I'm qualified to be just an audiologist in hospital, but I still choose to continue my faculty job because I really enjoy the teaching. So my department is the Department of Communication Disorder and the Sciences. So the communication disorders mean that, okay, some people, they cannot do the just common or the daily communications. Actually, and in our department, we have the two majors. One is the SLP, speech, language, and pathologists, and the other one is the audiology, people hearing. So I'm just in the program of the audiology. So actually, we have an undergraduate program, a master program, and a doctorate program. All right. And my research focuses on the speech perception, training, and enhancement in noise, and especially for the listener with bilingualism, with a hearing problem, hearing loss, as well as some pitch-related disorder, such as some people with amusia. They have normal hearing, but they are not sensitive to the mute, to the melody, and they cannot enjoy the music. Some special populations. I also have some clinical experience. And in my PhD program, I just have the clinical practice at the different clinical sites. So my clinical experience it includes about more than 19,000 hours. And my clinical experience involved behavioral and electrical physiological hearing evaluation, the hearing aid fitting, hearing aid fine-tuning, as well as the balance test. All right. Now let's go to my talk, the speech perception in noise. So I think everyone, you have the experience in your daily life. For example, now we are in a quiet environment. So I just talk here and you listen to me. So the environment is pretty quiet. So my voice is pretty clear, right? Just imagine that we are just in an airport a lot of the just background noise all around us. In this situation, when we feel it's difficult to do the communication, difficult to hear the speech. Now, and for some other population, such as the people with the hearing loss, or for the non-native listener, bilingual listener, the speech perception noise for them, it will be very challenging. Okay, so the first one is that why it is challenging for us. My speech is clear. So I keep my speech clear, but if we are in a very noisy environment, but you cannot hear me very well. Why? Because where the mechanism is the noise masking. The noise masking means that the noise covered and interference the speech, and it affects the speech perception. But actually, we have the two major types of the noise masking. The first one is energetic masking, and the second one is information masking. Now, I just have a short audio for you.
A white subject goes with shoes.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Yes. So it's just
The child crawled into the dense grass.
so this is just a speech inquiry, and this speech is pretty clear for us, right? Now, I just play some noise. Actually, when I just play some noise, the speech keeps the same, but with the background noise, the perception becomes more difficult, right? And in this type, for the non-speech noise, we call it as energetic noise. Energetic noise means that we have some noise. They are overlapped in the spectrum, and then they are overlapped just at the time. So, for example, now let's see this picture. This picture shows that this is the spectrum for the speech, for our speech. Now we have some noise. The first and second format are the primary cues for the speech perception. Now we have a very strong noise. This noise is pretty strong. It is covered, masked the peak of the second form. With this one, it means that in this situation, the noise is pretty strong, and we almost cannot recognize this speech. And then in some cases, now this is from the peak and the valley, we call it a spectral contrast. And then now for this noise is lower than the former one. So for this one, it cannot cover the peak of the second format. However, it fills the valley of the spectrum, and it just shortens the spectral contrast. So in this situation, maybe you can hear that, maybe you can understand that, but you feel that the speech is not clear for us. You need to put more just the cognitive work. It gives you a higher cognitive workload. For this one, we call it as spectral smearing, just for that. Now, let's listen to the speech again. Now, speech inquiry. Now, I will play some speech noise. Speech noise means a lot of people are talking together, right? Now, can you hear the speech now? Almost nothing, right? Almost nothing. It's very difficult for us to recognize their speech. So for this thing, for the speech noise, it combines the energetic masking and informational masking. It means that the people's speech have some actual masking effect on the speech perception. It includes several types. It includes that the thematic interference. For example, yes, I hear is, I hear what, I hear white, but I'm not sure this is a target speech or the background noise. That's confusing, right? I'm not sure which speech should I just follow, right? And so this we call it a thematic interference. I'm not sure I hear a lot of words and I'm not sure which one I need to follow. I need to understand, right? And next one, I call it the competing attention. Now, I hear that this is female voice. I try my best. I put all my attention on that, but it just makes me really tired, something like that. It takes us just attention. It gives us a high cognitive workload for that. And then the next one, we call it formant misoscillation. It means that now, for the speech, normal speech, clear speech, we have the first formant and the second formant, right? Now, for the second formant, we have a lot of background speech. All these speech also have this formant. So in this case, we are not sure which formant is from the target speech, which formant is from the background noise. So we feel that it's noisy. In some cases, we cannot understand any words, no matter it's from the speech or no matter it's from the background speech, background noise. So we call it the formant misolocation, just for that. With this one, there are the mechanisms, energetic masking and the informational masking. They are the mechanisms for the noise masking. All right. And a lot of other factors, they will affect noise masking. And then these factors, some of them, they can be the factor of the target speech. Some cases, if the speech is not clear, my speech is not clear, with some accent, sometimes you cannot understand it very well, especially in the noisy environment, right? And then sometimes we'll also have some factor of the background noise. We just show that the speech noise and the non-speech noise. Speech noise seems like more challenging for us, right? And sometimes the noise is pretty low and the speech is pretty high. And sometimes the speech pretty low and the noise is pretty high. We call it the SNR, speech to noise ratio, for that. And we also have some factors just of the listener that will affect speech perception noise. For example, the people with normal hearing and hearing loss. The listener with hearing loss have they usually suffer more difficulty for the speech perception noise. Another thing is that the language experience. For the native listener, maybe it's not a difficult work for you, but for me, as a non-native listener, as a bilingual listener, some cases the speech English noise is challenging for me to perceive it. All right. So let's see them one by one. The first one, is the factor of the target speech. For the first one is the phoneme type. And we know that for our speech, we have the vowels and we have consonants. For the vowels, something like that. U, I, U, all these things, they are the vowels. For these vowels, they usually centered in the middle area of the audiogram. The x-axis is the frequency. From the low pitch, D, very high, just low pitch, to the middle pitch, D, high pitch, D, very sharp sound. And then the y-axis, this is the intensities, how loud it is. Now we find that the vowels usually at this area, it's middle or low frequencies area, and they usually have a higher intensity. It means that they are much louder, right? So the vowel is easier for us to perceive. But for some, the consonants, such like sh, sh, so these consonants, they usually have a lower intensity, a lower energy, and then they usually have a higher pitch. For these things, actually, the different phonemes have different intensity and spectral features. And for some sounds, just like the motorcycles, right, the airplane, they are at the high frequencies and the very high loudness. And then they will affect a lot for the consonant perception. Okay, the second one, we call it the speech quality. For example, some cases, the speech is clear, but in some cases, the speech is not clear, such as with some echo, something like that. For example, just think about it. We are just in a church, in a very big building, large hall. I say, hello, then you hear, hello, something like that. We can hear the echo, right? And then this is, we call it, in the acoustics, we call it reverberations. Reverberation means that this is a speaker, this is a listener. Some of the speech energy just directly traveled from the speaker to the listener. But some of them, they traveled with other pathways. For example, they reach to the wall, reach to the cell, and reflected back. So all these reflections, it takes time, and then it usually takes we call it in daily life, we call it echo. But now we know that actually in my field we already talk that they have some distortions to the speech. All right. The next one is the muffled speech. For example, now you can hear me okay, right? Now, okay, not very clear. Not very clear, right? It's muffled. Nowadays, due to the pandemic, sometimes we need to wear a face mask, and in some situations, we need to wear the N95 face mask. Actually, the N95 face mask is really thick, and it gives us some high attenuation at high frequencies. In other words, it will affect the perception for some consonants, such as the all this sound. And then they lead more difficulties for the speech perception, especially for the people with some hearing loss. Yes, in the 2020 and the 2021, I just do my extensive practice in a hospital. And now we wear a face mask, N95 face mask. It's a challenge. It's a really challenge to our patient. They feel that, okay, I think my hearing gets worse. I cannot hear you okay. We said, okay, maybe it's from the face mask. Right. All right. And then for the factor for background noise, the first one, the primary factor is the SNR. For the SNR, it means that the speech perception mainly depends on the ratio between the signal to the noise, not the absolute levels of the signals. For example, let's see it. Now let's hear something. Now we can hear it clearly, right? Then let's play some noise. Now I just make the noise softer here. Footprint, something like that, you can hear it clear, right? Now I keep the speech the same. Then I will increase the noise level. We can understand nothing, right? Because the level of the signal has not been changed. But if we change the level of the noise, we will change the ratio between the signal and the noise. And then it will give, if I just increase the noise level, it will give us more difficulty for the speech perception. Okay, and some other things like the noise type. We just talked about that. We have a speech noise and a non-speech noise. Right? For the non-speech noise, some cases, it's just it's the speech perception is easier just in the non-speech noise, because non-speech noise has energetic masking only, but the speech noise has both energetic and information masking. All right, now let's see this one. But in our daily life, even for the non-speech noise, sometimes they have different features. Sometimes we hear a lot of noise such like this. We call it a stationary noise because the noise is always here, right? The noise is always here. It keeps stationary. Now we also have some dynamic noise. For the dynamic noise, such like this one. We have a lot of the small temporal dips inside the noise. And we can take advantage of this noise, these temporal dips, and get a better speech perception. And for these things, for the dynamic noise, the speech energetic masking is expected to be much lower compared with the stationary noise, because we can take advantage of small dips there. All right. And then the factor of the listeners, as we just talked about that, for some people, they have the hearing loss, hearing impairment. They suffer more difficulties. First of all, they have a higher hearing threshold. For example, for this one, the patient have a normal hearing at a low frequency and a middle frequency, but have a hearing loss at a high frequency, even in quiet environment. This patient can hear the majority of the speech, but this patient will lose part of the speech. Here, the area under the line is that the speech the patient can hear, and the area above the line is so that the speech the patient cannot hear. This is for that. Another thing that some cases you usually have a lower frequency resolution. Just think about that. Nowadays we have our iPhone, right? For the camera, it's pretty clear. If we take a picture, it's pretty clear, like the real situations, right? But let's think about that. 20 years ago, right? Some kids, 15 years ago, we also have the camera on the camera on our phone. But when we take picture, okay, it's really the picture quality is really low because the pixel resolution is pretty low at that time. For the speech, for the sound, it's also the same thing. For the people with hearing loss, the tuning curve became much wider and they have a lower frequency resolution. In other words, they are more likely to they will suffer more difficulties, more interference from the background noise. And another tricky thing is that for the patient with a hearing loss, they lost part of the hearing. But in some cases, they are sensitive to the very loud sound. For example, for the loud sound, we feel, okay, this is loud, but we can tolerate that. But for the patient with hearing loss, they cannot tolerate the very loud sound. We call it a loudness recruitment. For us, soft sound is soft. Moderate sound is moderate. For the loud sound, it's loud. And then for the patient, the soft sound, they cannot hear. The moderate sound, they feel it's soft. And for the loud sound, they feel it's too loud and they cannot bear that. So they say we call it tolerance recruitment. For example, in some cases, the noise is really loud. It's not just a comfortable experience for this patient with some hearing loss. Okay, now the next one is the factor of the listener. So, for example, the people with the native listener and the non-native listener, they have the different speech perception performance with the background noise. For example, this is just one of our previous study. We found that we have three groups of the the participants, the English native listener, Chinese native listener in the United States who have the native English experience for more than 2 years, and then some of the listeners recruited in China, they don't have any just native English experience. So we found that in the non-speech noise, actually the two groups of the Chinese listener, they have the similar performance, right? And then the difference between the gap between the native listener and non-native listener, they become narrower and narrower. Because in this situation, it means that they can the noise, the non-speech noise, the noise masking, just give all the people some actual difficulties there. And then for this picture, this is Bible noise. We found that there is a difference between the two Chinese groups. It means that for the listener, Chinese listener with some of the native English experience, they just suffer less from energetic masking. They suffer less from the informational masking. It means that non-native listeners, especially for the new learners for second language, they suffer more energetic masking from the speech noise. That makes sense? Another thing is that we just mentioned that we have the stationary noise, we have the temporal modulated noise, like the just like there's noise. And we find that the native listener, they can take the advantage of the temporal dips and have a good speech perception. But for the listener, for the non-native listener, it's difficult to just take these acoustic cues. So for these things, we think that the non-native listener, they just have a less usage of the temporal dips from the background noise. All right. That's why they suffer more difficulty. Just non-native listeners, the bilingual listeners, they suffer more difficulty for the speech perception noise. Okay, we talked a lot. What's the next step? How to help them? How to control them? How to improve our speech perception with background noise, right? The principle is that we need to improve the SNR, the signal to noise ratio. We have two ways. One, increase the signal. Another one, control or reduce the background noise. So for these things, actually, we have the amplification here. We can just amplificate in the architecture, acoustics, hearing amplification, audio devices, and the communication strategy. For example, like this one. The first one is the architecture acoustics. In this one, okay, I think maybe you've seen some similar pictures in this way, right? This is just for some professional just recording room, right? When they record the sound of for movie, when we record the sound record the sounds from a sound, right? From just the singers, we already have see this room. For this room, actually, for all of the architecture acoustics, for the sound, we have two physical features. One is acoustic absorption, another one is that acoustic reflection. The absorption means that this material, this wall, it can absorb my sound, my voice. Another one is reflection. It means that, just think about that. If you just try to toss a ball, right, to a wall, what will happen? It will be reflected back. There are similar things for sound. When we just talk to that, and then some sound reach to maybe to a hard wall, and they will be reflected back. We have the absorption and the reflection. Actually, for the interior wall, we prefer a higher absorption and a lower reflection. Because for that, we will reduce the reverberation, reduce echo for that. We will improve the speech quality, the sound quality. So for this purpose, we just put some light and soft materials on the surface. For example, we put some soft material here, right? Put some forms here. We just have the carpet, have the curtains, something like that, to make the room what? Softer, right? Because these materials, they can absorb the sound. And then, in some cases, for some reflection, they cannot be totally absorbed. In this situation, we just put more reflection angles. Like this one, we have a lot of triangle things here, right? A lot of small things here, because if this sound at this frequency range have to be reflected, we want to be reflected to different direction, not focus on one point. That makes sense? Yes, okay, very good. For the exterior, for the outside wall, it's a different story. For these things, we prefer a higher reflection, but a lower absorption. For example, now for these things, we want to, because we have some noise outside of this room, right? Just near a road, have a lot of traffic noise. We want this noise to be reflected back. We don't want this noise to be absorbed by the wall and get through into the wall and get into the room, right? In this case, we prefer a higher mass and higher stiffness. For example, in this one, the outer layers, we just usually use a steel or use some glasses. It should be really heavy and it should be very hard. For this material can reflect more sound back and get less sound through the wall and get into the just recording room. That makes sense? All right. The next one is the hearing amplification. And we know that people with normal hearing loss, some cases, in most cases, they will be recommended for hearing aids. For the hearing aids, the goal of the hearing aids, actually, we want to amplify the target sound. But some cases, we also have the noise. And the hearing aid may also amplify the noise and makes the noise louder. Okay, this is not what we want. We want to separate the speech and the background noise. We want to amplify the target speech only, but not background noise. How to realize it? The first of all, we call it the directional microphone. Some cases. Now, just think about that. You are just at a party. A lot of people are there. Then you want to talk with somebody. What will you do? You will face to the people you want to talk. Right. For this situation, based on this ratio, we just have this one. We call it direct microphone or the polo plot for the hearing amplification. We think that at this area, just in front of you, we think that they are the target speech. And for the sound on your back, on your backside, we think that they are the noise. We amplify the sound from the front only, but not their back. So in this way, we want to improve the signal to noise ratio. And another thing that for the noise, it has a different acoustic features between the speech and noise. For example, like the speech, hello everyone, how are you? Nice to meet you. Welcome to my talk. My speech goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. A lot of breaks, a lot of dips there, right? This is really dynamic. For the noise, something like it's always here. So it means that usually it keeps a similar, a relative, just the same intensity, and in most cases there are no gaps, right? In this one, we can detect this sound. If the sound is really dynamic, we think this is the target speech. The sound is really stationary. We think that, okay, this may be the background noise, right? And then we also, the next one is some the speech enhancement techniques. So this one we have several speech enhancement techniques. And this one is what I did in my PhD dissertation. So actually, as we know that in some cases, it will be covered. This one, the speech, the spectrum will be covered by the background noise, right? In some cases. Now, for the traditional amplification, they just try to amplify the first and the second, all these formats. But however, the actual outcome is not very good for two things. One is that they amplify both targeted speech and the background noise, right? The speech increased, noise increased. The SNR, speech noise ratio, remains similar, right? Another thing is that for this we amplify just for that. For the F1, the first format is pretty. We have a very large spectral contrast here, right? And then we can process the first format very well. But for the second format, actually, this peak above just above the noise is very limited. So in this case, we don't need to amplify the first format, but we need more amplification for the second. But from just with the traditional, just the spectral enhancement, it increases both F1 and F2. So, and it makes it too loud. Oh, it's too loud. I don't want to avoid the excessive loudness. So what did I do? We just track the contours of we just try to track the spectrum of the target speech and amplify the second format. The format, the amplification for the second format only, and for the target speech only. At this point, we find that it can improve the speech perception for the listeners with normal hearing and the listener will hear loss. They can just works for the young listeners and the elder listeners. They works for the native listeners and the non-native listeners. It works for both vowels identification and the consonant identification. It works in the speech noise and the non-speech noise. And it works just and it works more just for in the very challenging noise situation. And my current study, we say that we want to amplify the muffled speech with N95 face mask with some strong background noise. But in some cases, I call it a double-edged sword. Just from here, okay, it works for different people in different situations for different speech. It works very well at anywhere, right? And actually, we find the answer is not. It also, everything have a cost, right? Especially in the United States. So actually, we know that we call it a double-edged sword. It means that it may increase some perception for some sound, but it also lead to some distortions. It makes the speech unnatural, and it may reduce the speech perception for some phonemes, for some sound. It means that it increase more, reduce less. Overall, it increased a lot, right? But we also find that it also has some cost here. So this technique, actually it works, but it's not perfect. So, any questions so far? For the hearing aids, actually we also have some accessories. For some accessories, here we go, and sometimes we can use the T coil or the remote, just the microphone. Have you ever seen this sign? A ear with an arrow. Yes. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that we need to impede the ear, right? No. Don't think about that. It's not this way. It means that we have a T coil here. The T coil is accessory for hearing aids. For example, the speaker, the talker, they talk here, and then the sound is picked up by the microphone. Then we embedded that we call it the T coil inside of this meeting room. So for the hearing aids, it can directly receive the signals from the T coil. It means that although the meeting room is really large, maybe we have some noise here, but the listener with hearing aids, they can hear the sound pretty clear. That makes sense? And in some cases, but this one is a very traditional one. Actually, it's really expensive because you need to do something. You need to just maybe do some modification of the meeting room. Nowadays, we have another one. We call it a remote microphone, right? For the remote microphone, we put now this is a speaker, this is a listener. So we put a microphone here near the speaker. And the microphone will pick up the sound and transfer the signals to the hearing aids. Then the listener with hearing aids, they can hear the signal is directly received from electrical signals. And then the sound quality for them will be very clear. That makes sense? All right. The next one, the next application is the audio devices. In audio device, for the audio devices, sometimes we have a noise cancelling earphone. For example, what's this? AirPods, right? It will reduce some background noise. For this one, I think this boost. This is also just the noise cancelling headphone. What's the rationale of that? But sometimes when you just put the noise cancelling headphone just on your head at that time now, you may find that it is not cancelling the noise immediately, but it just go down, then it almost disappears. Gradually to attenuate, it takes a short time to attenuate the background noise, and not immediately disappear. For these things, actually, this is the sound waves. This is a waveform of the sound. So it goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. Now, let's put it in another waves. it has a different just phase. It goes up, goes down. The original is goes down, goes up. Then it goes up first, then goes down. So we combine the two sound waves together, and then we will get nothing. Because it will be a straight line. There will be no background noise. And for background noise, it's also the same thing. It can just track the outside noise. And then it give just opposite phase at a totally different direction. And for these things, actually, we can cancel the majority of the noise. That makes sense? Something goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. Then we give something like it goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up. They have a different direction. So as they will be canceled out. Okay, all right. We also have some communication strategies here. For the communication strategy, actually, maybe you can face the hearing impaired patients and talk directly. Maybe you can just speak loudly, clearly, slowly, naturally, but don't shout too loud. Because of the shouting, it will make the sound distorting. For example, hello, yeah, it's pretty natural, right? I say, hello, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Right? The sound is distorted. It's not clear for us. Okay, maybe something like that, we can just see the patient's name before we just begin a conversation, because it will draw his or her attention. And maybe you have some other just strategies and try to just reduce background noise, avoid the situation with background, with loud sound and something like that. If possible, just will use, for example, in your lecture, just use the PowerPoint or some writing words, like just a handout, something like that, right? And then the next one. Okay, all these things, this is about the speech perception noise. All these things are the speech perception noise. So for this thing, actually, I think this is very academic. Maybe you hear them and then just forget everything after our dinner, right? You think that, okay, they are interesting, but I can do nothing with them. It's meaningless to me, right? So for this point, I want to add one thing more. I want to talk about the effect of the noise on your hearing. And this one will be maybe helpful for you because it gives you some tips to protect your hearing. So for this part, actually, I will know that we have what is our ear? What is our ear? The ear. Is this one? Is this our ears? Yes or no? Yes and no. Why? Because our ear is a complex system. This one, we don't call it ear in our major. We call it the pinna. So actually, we have the outer ear, the pinna, and the ear canal, the whole, right? Middle ear, eardrum, and just the ossicles, just a small tiny bone, as well as the inner ear. For the inner ear, actually, we have a cochlea inside our temporal bones. These are our inner ears. And we have the thousands of the hair cells inside our ear. Almostly, we have that just it's about the 17 to 19,000 hair cells in each ear. And for these things, when the sound comes in, they vibrate. And the different hair cells vibrate in a different direction, and then it can process the incoming sound. Then hair cells, especially for inner hair cells, they vibrate so we can hear the sound. Now, and we know that all these hair cells, they vibrate. But something, if they vibrate too much, what will happen? They will be damaged, right? So just think about that. Now, this is just the hair cells. So this is normal hair cells. It's pretty clear. All the hair cells, they are just they are in a row and pretty clear, right? Now, if we just expose to a loud noise for a long time, okay, they are damaged, right? So we can find that actually they are damaged. It looks like flower, right? But actually they're not a flower. This is your damaged hair cells. Okay, and for these things, the next question is that what will happen after the hairstyle damage? Yes, it's damaged. So what? So what? Let me show it. Let's show it. This music listened by the normal hearing, by the people with mild hearing loss. Back to normal. Moderate hearing loss. Go back to normal again. Almost nothing, right? Almost nothing.
Once in your life.
Profound hearing loss. We have another word about that. It's a deafness. All right. Don't lose your hearing. And then now another thing is that actually the outer background noise may also just trigger the tinnitus. This is a different thing. The hearing loss is that you cannot hear a sound. The tinnitus means that you always hear a sound that but actually it doesn't really exist.
Dr. Li,
Oh, yes.
would you mind trying to share sound through Zoom and see if it bumps up the volume for us?
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank
Yes,
you so
I can
much.
just share the link for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Or something like that. Have you ever have this experience? You hear this sound in your ear. It's really noisy. It's really confusing, annoying, right? Always hear them. Even in a quiet environment, always hear ringing, buzzing, just all the noise in your ear, right? And it became severe in a quiet condition. Then we call it the ringing in your ear. We call it the tinnitus or tinnitus. So, and actually, most cases that they are combined. We have the principle in audiology and the 1990. It means that 90% of people with hearing loss, they also have the tinnitus. And 90% of the patient with the tinnitus, they also have the hearing loss. In most cases, they are combined. But in some cases, they are independent. All right. What's the next step? We know that the loud noise may damage your hearing. Yes. And then the next step is that how to protect your hearing. We want to conserve, this is just the hearing conservation. We want to conserve your hearing. We want to save your hearing, right? Actually, how to save our hearing? Just for this thing, actually, the noise, just the hearing loss come from the noise, we call it as noise-induced hearing loss. This is a type of sensory neural hearing loss. We call it a permanent hearing loss. It means that when the hearing is damaged, it will never come back. What's worse, it cannot be treated. No medication, no surgery can recover your hearing. It can be aided. You can wear hearing aids. The hearing aids just make the sound louder. Just make the incoming sound louder for you, but your hearing cannot be recovered. And now how to protect the hearing? Actually, we have 3 factors for hearing. The first one, loud level. Actually, in our environment, we always have the sound. We always have the background sound, but it's okay, no worry, no problem. They are soft sound. But if we expose to loud sound, it may lead to some hearing loss. Another thing is that the time, exposure time. If you just expose to loud sound just for a few seconds, a few minutes, most of the cases, it will not damage your hearing. It's okay for you, no worry about that. But you expose it to a loud noise for a long time, and then it will lead to just hearing loss. The third factor is the distance. The distance means that if you are near to a speaker, right, it's pretty louder for you. And if you are just far away from that, okay, it becomes much better. So the three factors, sound level, time, and distance, they matter to our hearing. Actually, now this is just a sound level. The sound level, for example, now this is, we have a different levels for different situations. For example, all these things, these are the sound of a breath. Really soft, no problem. Okay, whisper, rain, that's some noise, some sound from the car. It's pretty loud for us, but it's still safe. We usually use the 85 decibel or louder as the boundary for the dangerous decibel. It means it's around here, for example, the sound from the hair dryers, from a helicopter, from some instrumentations, and with the police car and other, all these things, actually, they are much louder. We call it the dangerous decibel. And the dangerous, actually, this is just a risk for your hearing. Now we have two standards there: the OSHA and the NOSHA. The OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It have actually something like a law. It have a hard requirement just for the work occupation. It means that if the working environment that is about the 90 decibel, it's okay to expose here for 8 hours per day, but it cannot be much longer. If it increased to 95 decibel, it's safe to stay here for 4 hours every day per day. 100 decibel, it's okay to stay here for 2 hours. 105 decibel, 1 hour. 115 decibel, 15 minutes. If it's longer than this time, allowed time, it will damage your hearing. So this is just an occupational requirement. But nowadays, actually, we know something. The occupational requirement sometimes is loose, right? Because it want to balance. Okay, they want to balance the employer and employee, the benefits of the employer and employees, right? It's okay, it's allowed, it doesn't mean that it's safe, right? So we also have a recommended health levels. For example, the 85 decibel, it's okay to expose here 8 hours. 88 decibel, 4 hours. 91 decibel, 2 hours. 94 decibel, only 1 hour. This is just a strict standard for that. This is not a requirement, but this is a recommendation. All right. The last one is the distance. For example, now if you are just now this is just a sound source. From here, if you just here, just about the distance is about 1 meter. Then the sound is 90 decibel. Then, okay, it's too loud. Move farther a little bit. 2 hours, about 2 meters. Okay, here it will reduce by 6 decibel. Okay, another double it again, so it reached to the 4 meters, and then it will reduce to just the 78 decibel. So if you just enjoy the music, if you really just attend to a concert, so because the concert usually lasts 2 hours, 3 hours, it's a long time exposure, and it's really loud, some cases, and then the suggestion is that maybe don't sit near the speaker, right? It's too loud. Another thing that maybe if you just watch some videos or watch some the live music, you may find that okay, something is shining in the singer ear, in the music singer ears, right? We call it the ear plug, because the music itself, they will damage their hearing. And for their musicians, they will have their customized ear plug. The earplug will fit for their ear perfectly, and then they will give an equal attenuation to the sound. They will not distort the music. And then, yes, with this one is much more expensive than the daily one. For the daily one, earplug, it's about $5 for a huge bag, right? And for this series, and actually it's about maybe $150, about $200, something like that. But it's still, it's not a big, it's not too expensive for a musician, right? Okay. Any question? Okay, all right. And in some cases, we are wanting to say, yes, you tell me that. Okay, I want to know the sound level, but what's the sound level here? I don't know, right? Yes, I'm not sure if it's safe or not. And then my recommendation is that you can measure it, right? If you don't know how tall you are, if you don't know how old you are, just measure it, right? And then for this one, this is just professional. We call it sound level meters. You can measure it here. But most of the cases, okay, it's more than $100, about $200. I don't want to spend any money there. I'm really poor. I want to save every dollar. Sure, you can download some apps. Yes, this is free apps. Oh yes, the app is free, but your smartphone is not free. Okay, all right. You can download it here and measure it. You can get the intensity level of your environment. And in some cases, actually, nowadays, just like me, I have just Apple Watch. Yes, I first of all, I want to say that Apple did not pay any money to me, right? On the contrary, I just ordered a new iPad. I just I just buy their just products and give money to them. Actually, for them things they have for the Apple Watch, and they have function is just like the noise reminder. For example, this is an alert. If you expose to loud noise for a long time, and then it will give you a warning. It's too loud and too long. Okay, please leave it away immediately. Leave the sound source, not the Apple Watch, right? Leave the sound source away immediately, right? Okay, then for the Apple, for your iPad or just your iPhone, we also have the function from just in the sounds. It just reduce the sound, loud sounds, because sometimes you just listen to music. Maybe some cases it's suddenly have a loud, like something like that. Suddenly make a sound too loud, and then for Apple, it will immediately reduce the sound, so it will just protect your hearing. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. The next one is that how to protect your hearing, right? Protect your hearing. How to do that? Actually, we have some suggestions for you. First of all, turn down the volume. Don't make it too loud, right? The next one is that stay away from the loud noise. Don't be too near to the loud noise. Just walk away from that. Just the sound source. Okay, in some cases, yes, you cannot do that. First of all, sometimes I just sometimes maybe some people or some of you, maybe you, okay, I want to try to have a gun shooting, right? Some cases, okay, we just go to a ranch and they are shooting ranch. Okay, we cannot turn down the volume from the gun, right? It's impossible for us to do that. And if we just do the gun shooting, the gun is really near our ear, we cannot leave it away, right? And how to do that? We can protect our ear with just the ear muff or the ear plug. And for the ear muff, we can just wear this ear protection around the loud noise. If you cannot turn down the volume or if you cannot stay away from it. Okay, all right. And sometimes in our environment, we have the low pitch noise and we also have the high pitch noise. So some cases, in the shooting range, right? Boom, boom. All these sounds they are low pitch noise, low pitch sound. So we will recommend this one, the ear muff for that. We find that this we have a hard case here. This is just for the more reflection. They want to reflect all these things sound away. So now for this thing, it's so that we can, for the high pitch sound music noise, such as just music concert. In some cases like that, we will recommend that earplugs. Where the earplug, it have a higher acoustic absorb. It can absorb the sound and reduce the sound reach to the ear. And then in some cases, okay, I'm not sure what the noise it is. It's a high pitch noise, low pitch noise, or both. In this case, I will suggest the dual protection. Wear the earplug first, then cover your ear with the earmuff. Yes, double protection, double security, right? All right, and then just for this device, we will have the noise reduction ratings. So it is through the 33 decibel, it is so that if we can reduce the sound for the 33 decibel, but actually it cannot, because it cannot reach to this level. This is a design. And for the sound measurement, we have the decibel A, B, C. So they usually use the most significant one to just tell their the function, just like an advertisement, right? So the best aspect of their their product. So generally speaking, for these devices, we usually minus another 70 decibel. For example, it is so that the reduction rate is 33 decibel. Now we think that, okay, we just minus 7 decibel, so we think that the actual reduction is about 25 decibel. That makes sense? For example, if you expose to a sound that's like the 95 decibel, 95 decibel is dangerous. It's dangerous sound. Then after it reduced for 25 decibel, then it reached to what? 70 decibel. 70 decibel means that it's pretty good, right? And there's another thing is that 105 decibel. This is really dangerous decibel. Exposure to this situation for about 20 minutes, some cases, or just 30 minutes, it will give you a permanent hearing loss. And the hearing loss will last forever in your life. And then, wear this protection, 105 reduce minus 25, 80. 80, we call it a safe intensity. It means that it's still very loud, but it's not dangerous. That makes sense? All right. Next one is how to use almost done. How to use the earplug. How to use earplug. Sometimes we buy earplug, put it over ear. That's it. No, it's not correct. It doesn't work. So actually, first of all, roll it. Then pull your top of the ear up. Get it inside the ear canal. Don't release it. Hold it for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then it will expand itself and then just protect it. If you just put it here, leave your hands, and then it will drop. It will drop away. It will fall away, right? It doesn't work. So just for these things, the reference is here. Any question? Any questions? Oh, I find that we have some chats here. All right.
You could answer to them. I think the comment actually by our dean.
Oh yeah.
Reader, thank you for your support to be here.
Thank you.
Staircase. That's actually a really nice example.
Oh yes. I just say your question is very interesting because in a stairway, right, they have a lot of the reflection. In this situation, the speech is distorted. The speech is not clear. So we prefer not to you. Maybe we can have some speech difficulty in speech perception. And then this is inside there. So for the inside walls in our building, we prefer to have something soft. We want to increase the absorption and reduce the reflection. We want to keep our voice, our speech natural. For the outer layers, for the outside of the wall, we prefer to have something hard. Yes, we want more reflection because at the outside we have some outside traffic noise, outside noise. We want to reflect the noise back. Then less noise can get through the wall and get inside the room. So this is what we want.
Yeah, and sometimes, like in the case of being inside a stairwell, some of the older stairwells that are very rigid, smooth, rectilinear surfaces, if you make a sudden, don't do this with anybody in there, but if you make a sudden noise like clapping your hand or slamming a book, you can hear that for 4 or 5 seconds. So that sound's traveling, I don't know, more over 1,000 meters. Once you add up all the reflections.
Yes, and another thing for that is that the volume of the room, of the stair, maybe a stairway. For the stairway, all the volume across the several floors, right? All these things are there together. So there's a really large volume. For example, the sound travels from our mouth, reflected back. But the volume is so large, and then some reach to the ceiling or reach the floor or reflected back. It takes a long time. So that always here, it may last for a few seconds. That's why, because the volume is too large and the reflection rate is too high.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you very much for your presentation, Professor Li. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the invitation to attend. I did have one question though, in one of your initial slides about masks and how the different kinds of masks degrade the sound, especially based on frequencies. It looked like the plastic face mask actually increased. Yeah, it actually increased in the lower or medium frequencies. That seems kind of confusing to me. Why is that happening? Is it like an acoustic chamber, and is that how it's amplifying the sound? Or
yes, this is very interesting. For other sounds like the surgical mask, identity face mask, and the cotton mask, they give a lot of attenuation and high frequency. But the plastic shell is a different story. First of all, it will increase the sound at the middle and the low frequency area, because with the face mask there, the plastic just shelled there, it changed the resonant frequency. Actually, different material have a different resonant frequency. With this one, it will amplify the sound at a certain frequency, the low and the middle frequency, but greatly reduce the sound at the high frequencies. At the beginning, initial part, at the beginning of the pandemic, was in our major of the speech language pathology. Some cases they want to the children see their mouths, so sometimes they just wear a plastic shell. But after that, we find that it's maybe not a very good thing. This is not a recommendation because it will distort our speech. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. And other questions?
Yeah, please feel free to ask any questions you might have in mind. You can either just talk or raise your hand.
Dr. Li?
Yes.
I wonder what would happen if you had the plastic shield, but then a mask on the inside, right? So you have some attenuated sound and then some amplified sound. Did they look into that at all?
I think the result will be the double protection, but the double attenuation, more attenuation. So at here, with this one, the surgical face mask, there are some attenuation at the high frequencies. For the plastic shield, more attenuation at high frequency. So they will combine together and get more attenuation of high frequencies, and the consonant maybe cannot be clear heard even for the people with normal hearing.
We don't have a good solution yet, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the best recommendation is get your vaccine.
And this was all with, because I had a question about the masks too. Was the sound source tested inside the mask or outside the mask?
Outside mask.
As if you were hearing it. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So you might use the remote part like that to help with the mask.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question if nobody else
yes.
question. So I really know nothing, so forgive me for any stupid. You talked about the hearing aid, right? The basic principle is really to magnify the volume for those hearing impaired people. But I thought this kind of like a dilemma in the sense that you are magnifying the sound, and then you will harm the hairstyles even more. And then you will need to magnify the sound even more. So it's kind of hearing aid is more like a temporary fix, but it's just like the death spiral. I don't know if that's the case or not, but just from my very silly perspective to see that worry or not.
Okay, so that's a very good question. And this is a very common question from our patients. I've already had my hearing loss. You make the sound louder. My hearing will go worse and worse, right? Okay, I don't want to wear the hearing aids. I want to protect my hearing by just drop my hearing aids off, but the answer is not. Why do I have this answer? Why can I answer this question so confidently? Because from here, let's say this one. Okay. Now, it is so that we have the function between the experience, the sound level and the time durations. That means that if the incoming sound is remain at the 85 decibel, so it's safe to stay here just at 8 hours. Based on that, for the hearing aids fitting, we have a lot of fitting there. So for example, we want to make the loud, soft sound audible. You can hear the soft sound. Make the moderate sound comfortable. You can hear it very comfortably. And then for the very loud sound, we will not amplify that. On the contrary, we will reduce the level of the loud sound. So we just want to make that you can hear the soft sound, you can clearly hear the moderate sound, and you will be comfortable, you will be safe for the loud sound exposure. So this is what we design. And for all of the hearing aids, so in the clinics in the United States, all these things, if they want to go to the market, they have been approved by the FDA. If not, you cannot just you are not allowed it to sell to be sold in the United States. And for some, for example, for the airports, for something like that, they also have some amplification functions, and their function sometimes is pretty good, but then maybe they cannot, in their advertisement, they cannot mention that it is good or it can be used to aid your hearing loss because it has not been approved by the FDA so far. Maybe in the near future, if it has been approved by the FDA, they can just mark these features just for their product.
Also implies that this kind of hearing aids will not help those people with severe hearing loss. If they couldn't hear anything below, say, 85 dBA, then you couldn't help them because that will further damage their ears.
This is a very good question. For example, I just want to explain your question with this. Right. So for this area, we have the mild level, moderate level, severe level. Because different people have the different shape of the hearing loss. For this case, this patient can hear the majority low frequency speech, more middle frequency speech, but just just lose some point for the high frequency speech. For this case, hearing aid will be beneficial. It will be just very good for this patient. It will amplify all the sound. And because they just lose part of the speech, actually the hearing aid, it works. But for some people, for example, they have a very, maybe just, we call it flat. They have flat hearing loss at a severe level or the profound level. For this thing, they cannot hear that speech in the low frequency, middle frequency, high frequency, or this situation. Actually, it's just like give a pair of glasses to a blind people. Actually, it doesn't work. So in this situation, we need to do the next step. The next step in our major is the cochlear implant. We will just have an artificial tear get inside your cochlear, and it will take place of the function of the hair cells inside the cochlear. And you will hear the artificial sound. But actually, the artificial sound is very poor. Just compared to our real hearing, the hearing with a cochlear implant is something like that. And the difference is like that: a picture and a brief drawing. Yes, for the brief drawing, we can see the eyes, we can see the nose, we can see the mouth, but we will lose a lot of details. And in order to, if some patients are interested in a cochlear implant, they need to take a lot of that, we call it the cochlear implant candidacy test. They must fail in this test. Then they will be qualified to get the cochlear implant. If not, if they test any part of this just test, they are not allowed to have the cochlear implant.
It's really asking me a lot of questions. I'm just like more curious child. Still have a lot of questions here. When you talk about the cochlear implant, yes. I know they have a lot of implications for the deaf community. Yes. The question here is that you just mentioned that the quality of hearing is still very different from the normal hearing. My question that, okay, is that possible that in the future that technology gets more developed and then you have more, say, kind of like authentic or more similar to human hearing experiences? Is that something still under research or something?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. First of all, for the hearing devices, we have two types of hearing devices. One that we call it hearing aids. For the hearing aids, the sound quality is not very poor because the processing, you also use your hair cell to process it. They just amplify the sound. Yes, with the hearing aids, they cannot reach to the normal level. For example, this is normal level, and maybe this is about that. This is just the level of the speech perception level for the people with hearing loss. The hearing aids can help them change it from this level, and maybe this level, to this level. It still cannot reach to the normal level. Nowadays, we have the more and more technology, higher just technology in the hearing aids. So the sound quality and all these things for the hearing aids is increased greatly. And in some cases, you cannot tell the difference for the people with normal hearing and for the people with maybe moderate hearing loss, but with the hearing aids. So nowadays, the hearing aids techniques, it grows rapidly. The next type is we call, just mentioned that a cochlear implant. It's a totally, maybe we can use the word kill. You can kill your hair cells, replace function of the hair cell, and use them just the artificial, just the electrical signals, and send the signal to your brainstem and to your brain. And in this one, for the nowadays, the most advanced the technology in cochlear implant have 32 channels. But in your ear, there's about the 15 to 19,000 of hair cells. So it's a big difference. You cannot imagine that. Yes, that's actually with some the development of the signal processing, the sound quality is becoming better and better. But just from my view, in the next 30 years, there will be still a big difference, huge difference between people with normal hearing and the code implant. That is why you have to fill in a lot of the tests. Then that this patient can be qualified. Is to be qualified to have the code implant.
Yes, thank you so much. I really love your talk. It's so fun and with a lot of good stories and examples. Yeah. Anybody else? I really wish everybody has some questions for you because so informative and fun talk.
I actually have a question, Dr.
Yes.
Li. Yes. I kind of missing the middle part of the area that you talk about the facial that's reduce the high frequency loss, and I'm just wondering, like during the real life, like clinical practice, do you have like any recommendations during especially in the oral rehab situation that we have to use the facial, something like that during the pandemic, but we want to give the patient the most like reliable acoustic information. So what could we do to make this happen?
Oh yes. So and I want to just repeat your question. You mean that you have the patient who have that just a middle frequency, high frequency hearing loss, right?
Yes, we're just in the like general oral rehabilitation case. What can we do with facial, like changing the distance from the facial? Will that help the patient to hear more? Yeah.
Okay. So I think I understand your point. So first of all, I think that the hearing aids, the technique goes first. We must make sure. Actually, the recommendation varies. It varies just across different situations of the hearing loss. For example, some people with a mild hearing loss, maybe they don't think that it really affects the speech perception. But for the people with a moderate hearing loss and the severe hearing loss, yes, it really affects that. So different hearing loss have different recommendations. And then, because I cannot just say a lot of details because nowadays I haven't just say the audiogram just for that. So, but generally speaking, first of all, we want to do that, but we want to have the hearing technology for the hearing aids to amplify the sound. This is the first step. And this is the first step to the oral rehabilitation. And then, because we want to give the reliable hearing to the children, to the people. And then the next one is that maybe we can just get some of the actual devices or support just from the government. Actually, for the children, we have that just for the very young children, we have that have the individual family service plan. This is supported by the federal government. So actually, they will just give you a plan for the development of that, and then they will give a lot of just support for the family with a child who have a hearing loss. And then after that, after maybe 3 years, 4 years and older, so when the children they move to the transferred to the school, they can just have a transition from the family plan to the individualized educational plan. And all these things, all the schools, they are required to have all these things, the resources and the support just for them, just for their special needs for the education, just for that. And for the privacy, just a concern, maybe we can just give me an email. We can talk more about about each case just after this presentation. Nowadays, I get my certificate, clinical certificate, and a licensure in California, so I'm qualified to answer your question. I'm licensed to answer your question. Yeah. Oh yes.
I have a question, if I may. So for a lot of people with maybe hearing loss, or people who are listening to human speech over low quality electronic devices, phonemes or sounds like S and F are difficult to distinguish because they're of about the same frequency. Are there any of the hearing aid devices that help listeners differentiate between those two sounds?
Yes. For example, here we go. In this case, for example, in this audiogram, this is audiogram for the high frequency hearing loss. For a lot of the people, the most common configuration of the hearing loss is the high frequency hearing loss. And you just mentioned the two just consonants, the S, this one, and the F, this one. They are all of them, they are at the 4,000 hertz, and this is just high frequency. And for the people with age-related hearing loss, for the older people who have a hearing loss, as well as the noise-induced hearing loss, just from the exposure to a lot of noise for a long time, then they get a hearing loss, and then they will have a lot of loss at this area, at around 4,000 hertz. And in some cases, it may just lead to that. That's why they cannot distinguish the two sounds, the F and the S. So, and can we just, but in some cases, we want to hear them okay. And how to do that? First of all, to have the hearing aids. To have the hearing aids, because the hearing aids help you to just get to aid the hearing at a high frequency, at the high frequency here. And another thing is that for some modern hearing aids, they have embedded a function named, they have different names, but the rationale is frequency compression. For example, your hearing at the high frequency is super, almost deaf at the high frequencies. No matter how loud it is, you cannot hear that. For example, it should be, if the hearing threshold is just lower than this line, about the 90 decibel, we call it as a dead region. It means that the hair cells are totally dead, just at this area. No matter how loud it is, you cannot hear that. So how to do that? Then, but at the high middle frequency area, you still can have the hearing at this area. So we just compress the speech sound from the very high frequency to middle to high frequency. We call it the frequency lowering. It means that we can lower the frequency of the incoming speech. So in this case, the patient can hear this sound, can distinguish these different sounds. And then everything, as we talk about that, everything have a cost. So for these things, it can help you to distinguish some of the consonants, hear the high frequency consonants, but it will make the speech a little bit unnatural. For example, for something like that, you will feel that the pitch of the frequency goes lower. So everything have a cost. So in some cases, this function is muted. This function is automatically muted. But if you just need, if the patient needs that, the patient can discuss it with the audiologist. Then we can unmute this function. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Support, Dean Reader.
Any other questions? Oh, yes, Jamie.
I had another one, but if other people have one, I don't want to take the time. Does anybody else have one? Okay.
Go ahead. Don't worry. We still have plenty of time.
Okay, sounds good. Dr. Li, I was really fascinated by when you talked about the cognitive load on especially bilingual speakers and listeners when there's speech sounds or non-speech acoustic sounds in the background. And so we're working with post-COVID patients right, who have something I'm trying to figure out with acoustic processing. But I'm finding that the bilingual clients have more of this cognitive load that you're talking about, almost like an overstimulation of sounds is hitting them harder than our monolingual clients. So it's almost like they can't differentiate, like you were saying, the gaps don't help them as much.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it was really helpful to just hear you talk about that in order for me to understand better what might be going on. Anyway, and how to help that, lessening the cognitive load or making the speech signal like in their lectures. Maybe if an FM system was used by the professor so they could get more of a clear sound. I don't know. And if you have any suggestions, let me know.
Yes, yes. First of all, I'm a non-native listener. So in some cases, I also just have experience for these difficulties. So I actually just because first of all, that we have for the bilingual listener, for the non-native listener, we require the higher just SNR for the speech perception. If the non-native listener have normal hearing, then the next step is that we want to improve the increase the signal to noise ratio of that. And then in this case, you just mentioned the FM system. Yes, this thing will be very helpful for them because they can reduce some background noise and just increase the speech for them. And another thing is that for some of the expensive or advanced microphone, they have some embedded function such as speech enhancement. This enhancement works much better, works more for the non-native listener. In my PhD dissertation, we found that both native and non-native listeners can get the improvement, get enhancement for speech perception, but the non-native listener, they gain more. For this function will be very helpful for them. And the next one is that actually in some cases, actually hard to say because in some cases for non-native listeners, sometimes they rely on the facial impression or the shape of the mouth shape to distinguish some sounds. So some sounds just like that. When we wear face mask, even just despite of the acoustic attenuation, we cover the mask. The picture cannot see us, right? They just give us some more actual just the difficulty. So actually, it's hard to say how to deal with this one, but I hope the pandemic will just totally disappear soon, so everything can go back to normal and we don't need to wear the face mask. Nowadays, I'm not sure, but in our department, the faculty is still required to wear a face mask. Just in our lecture, the students are not required, but the faculty is required to wear a face mask. Just for that.
We're actually finding on when we do the therapy online with them, it's much more helpful. They can
yes. The teleprax is sometimes helpful because it can just give you just a clear impression of the mass shape, the movement of the muscle, and just for these things. And all these things such as eye contact, all these things, they give some actual just the other just cue for that, some vision cue for that. These things will be helpful for them to understand that. Then that's the speech.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I think if you don't have more questions, I actually have one more question. I'm sorry for.
Oh yes. Please do. No problem.
So there's more concern with the hearing damage for the younger children and juniors. One question may be just is that does a loud noise damage the younger children in a more harmful way, in a kind of a non-irreversible manner that the adult may be easier to recover, but for the younger children, are they easier or are they more difficult to recover from kind of like damage from the loud noise? And the second related question really about the more recent, we have a lot more devices in the ear, like iPad, or ear and plug, or those kind of things. Are they? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there must be a lot of research on the potential long-term effect on the ear. But should we tell our children, is there anything that we need to let them know to be careful with the device? actually, I bring my son to the eye optometrist, and she gave me a really good advice that 20, 20, 20. I mean, after you do 20 minutes, you see something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Something like an easy way to give our children some advices. Do you have something similar, or kind of advice we can tell our kids or even ourselves?
Yes, I really like that question. But for the first question, who will be the most susceptible to the hearing loss?
Yeah.
Actually, you just young people and the old people and the young people and adults. And then my question is how young it is, she is or he is. So it depends on the age. For the infants, that's about 1 year old. For this baby, actually they are more likely to get the hearing loss compared with adults, because for them actually the middle ear is still not mature just for them. For us, for adults, for most of adults, we have a self-protection mechanism. We call it acoustic reflex. For the acoustic reflex, it means that when we're exposed to a loud sound but a short time, then we have two muscles in our middle ear. They will be contracted, and then they will contract impedance, increase impedance, and then reduce the incoming sound. So this is just a self-protect ourselves. For the very young children, actually, this sixth term is not very natural, and I don't have that solid proof for that, but I think they are more just susceptible to the hearing loss. Another thing is that for some infection, bacterial infection, virus infection, it's okay for the adults, but they will damage the hearing for the infants. So for the mother disease, they're more likely to have that, because we have the hearing loss. We call it the prenatal hearing loss. It means that the women in pregnancy who get the infection of a certain disease, of a certain virus, and then they pass their infection to the infant, the fetus, and these children, they are born with hearing loss. But the mother doesn't have the hearing loss, because this infection affect more for the fetus or for the young children. So that is the first one. For the youngster, for maybe the 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, for these young people, actually they are less likely to have the hearing loss. For them, actually, for this thing, actually, I don't have just a very solid proof for you, but I think it should be like this way, because actually, just think about that. We have a lot of grass on the ground, a grassland, right? And then for this area, only a few people just tap on that. And in that area, a lot of people go back, forward, and then that grass at that area is more likely to be damaged. So for the young people, they are less likely to have hearing loss. For the old people, they are very likely to have hearing loss, because we have the hearing loss named age-related loss. It means that for the people, for old people, maybe the hearing loss will begin at the high frequencies. So and another one is the noise exposure. For example, for young guy, this is first day for their work, for his work or her work, for example, in a factory, and for that guy, he exposed to this noise for 30 years, right? And for the older people, they are more likely to have hearing loss. Just this way. Another thing that for the young people, sometimes they relax, they play music. Sometimes they listen to the music with the hearing aids, or not hearing earphone or something like that. And what can we do just for that? First of all, for the first part, if they play the music in a band, something like that, my suggestion is that just have we call it a musician earplug. So For this thing, actually, we know in the history, a lot of famous musicians they will become deaf when they become older, right? When older, because they always exposed to a lot of noise, a lot of sound. We also have a hearing loss named as the music-induced hearing loss. It means that music exposure may lead to a hearing loss. And for these things, yes, we can wear just a normal, just an ordinary, just the earplugs, $5 for one bag. But a lot of musicians they don't like that because it gives more attenuation at the high frequency, but less attenuation at the low frequency. For this part, they hear the music unnatural. It distorts the music. They cannot handle their melodies. For this thing, more and more musicians, they just fit the musician hearing, the earplug. For these things, they can give a flat attenuation on that. And then they can control the noise reduction rates. It can let the musician hear the music clearly, but safely. This is just for that. And if a young adult would like listen to music, not sing music, not play music, but listen to music, I think that my recommendation is the noise cancelling earphone. For this part, why I recommend this one? Because actually the speech perception, music the perception depends more on the SNR, signal to noise ratio. Because some cases, and then some people they just listen to music just on the bus shuttle, right? Just in the flight. All these things they have a lot of background noise. In this situation, in order to hear the music, they have to turn up the music. Then the music combined with the outside sound, they will be too loud for them, for the people. And then if we use the noise reducer hearing, or constantly the earphone, some cases it will reduce the state of the background noise, and then the listener can turn down the volume. It will be safe just for listening music. This is just for this part. Another thing that some people have the concern that when I wear the noise cancelling just the earphone, I always hear some sound like a shh. It's always there. Will it damage my hearing? My answer is no. It will never damage my hearing. Because the until you hear that, it's not a shh, very loud. It's a shh. It's around 20 decibel to up to 30 decibel. And it's actually, we call it a safe decibel. It means that even you're exposed to the sound 20 hours every day, is still safe for hearing. Only loud sound will damage your hearing, but not the soft sound.
Very nice. Thank you. Anybody else have questions? I know it's a long time. And we do, have a dinner at Hardwood Cafe. And if you want to join us, please let me know at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And still have a few more minutes for any more questions. But if you want to bring your question to the dinner, that's fine as well.
No other questions? Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your coming.
Okay. Let's all thanks again for Dr. Li's wonderful talk. And just cheers and applause and whatever you can. Again, this is a platform for us to understand and appreciate many of colleagues' research and their work in the community. The China Institute had been really focused on, bring many interdisciplinary research together. And for example, I'm a philosopher. I really know very little about the speech communication part, but I definitely very interesting Dr. Li's work. And I think also it can be very helpful for our community, especially community with young and old people who in a lot of ways need to understand better about how our ears processes and how to help their hearing. So I welcome anybody who want to give us a talk. Please let me know. I invite you to our platform to bring this kind of interdisciplinary research together. Yeah. Thank you again, Dr. Li, and see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.